Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. We've been covering a lot of what's been going on with Disney. You know they got rid of Bob Chapek recently. Bob Iger definitely had a hand in it, and they stuck him in, the board of directors did, as the CEO of Disney, but only for 2 years, and only to kind of clean up the mess that Bob Chapek left behind, which was not all his fault. Bob Iger kind of started the mess. They got a lot of mess over at Disney. It's going to be a problem. There are several people they're looking at to consider for the CEO role after Bob Iger. You know, what is the business even going to be 2 years from now? That really doesn't matter. They still have to pick someone. Someone's got to actually be the CEO of the company. You know, we have covered all of this drama as time has gone on. The real reason they got rid of Bob Chapek, the people behind the coup. We covered the mega deals that I think at least one of them is going to go through with Bob Iger because he's a deal guy and he needs to kind of cover up what's been going on. We know Bob Iger is going to keep the company woke. So one CEO or another is not going to change whether or not the company is woke and pushing their progressive agendas in all of the media and all of their hiring and all of their operations. That's going to come one way or another from the board of directors. So if the board of directors wants a change, there'll be a change. But realistically, I would not expect a change. Let's get into this article talking about the next CEO for Disney. Before we do, please be sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. And I really appreciate you guys. It's been a huge help having you guys support the channel. Thank you so much. Who will be Disney's next CEO? Here are the top contenders to succeed Bob Iger. Okay, the key points are Disney's board and CEO Bob Iger are aiming to find his next successor over the next 2 years. But keep in mind, they can't just find somebody like 2 years from now, right? So he's supposed to leave in 2 years. Could he stay longer? Sure, if he works it out with the board. But the plan is for him to leave in 2 years. And if he's going to be working with a successor, he'd be working with a successor for at least the last 12 months of his 2 years. So he needs to find someone like relatively soon so he can present them to the board, they can have some conversations, and he can start mentoring them. That in the middle of trying to figure out what to do with superhero fatigue, as they call it, the falling apart of the Marvel brand, the Pixar division that just keeps putting out, projects that don't work. Buzz Lightyear didn't work. They have to fix Disney animation. They have a lot of issues. Though there are several internal and external candidates who could take over the role as CEO. Here is a look at some of the top contenders, and I'll give you my 2 cents on each of these names as well. As we know, Disney reappointed Bob Iger as its chief executive recently, abruptly replacing his handpicked successor Bob Chapek and giving Iger an early goal: find a new replacement during the next 2 years. Now, I've covered a lot of Bob Chapek. I'm going to say this about Bob Chapek. Somewhere, somehow, I do think his intentions were good. The biggest problem with Bob Chapek is not being able to communicate with people and get him on board with whatever his strategy is. Iger has always been a bit of a smoothie where he could get people to kind of go along with him. And the main thing is, can he sway the creative executives? Can he sway the board of directors? And can he sway Wall Street? The answer for all three of those things has always kind of been yes. So he'll be able to do that. Chapek not being able to get people on board with what he wanted to do meant that it didn't matter how good his plans were, they were never going to come to fruition. All right. So you need to have a CEO in place who can get people to buy into whatever your vision is. Iger's attention has quickly turned to the other part of his mandate from the board, the immediate challenges facing Disney's businesses, such as the company's reorganization, cost structure, and the future growth of its streaming business. But that hasn't quelled speculation about who his successor could be. There's also another major issue, the Reedy Creek District. That is where they had their own kind of private government to run what their theme parks were doing in Florida. That's not resolved. And there's some talk that it might get resolved, but then there's also pushback from DeSantis directly, governor of Florida, that they won't be resolving that. Who knows what's going to happen? But that was something that really was in Chapek's hands. What a mess. Media industry executives and company observers are putting together a roster of potential candidates Iger and the board will likely consider in deciding whom to groom for the next role. The pool of possibilities include former Disney executives who were previously considered for the future of the Mouse House before being passed over for Chapek, a few internal rising stars, and some sleeper picks who are either close to the creative community or already have ties to the company. Another possibility some consider is that Iger, whose return was applauded by Wall Street and employees, sticks around longer than his 2-year contract. If he doesn't, here's how it's going to go. Bottom line, okay? I'm going to tell you straight, because that's how I do it over here. If he doesn't have somebody where he's got 12 months out to mentor them and also test them with the rest of the executives, test them with the board, test them with Wall Street. If he doesn't have that within 12 months, he is going to stay because he just can't leave. You'll know within 12 months whether or not he's going to be staying longer. That's how it works. Okay, so here's a look at some of the people who could be next in line for Disney. Dana Walden is an executive that replaced Peter Rice when he was fired. Now, what's interesting about that is he was quite unceremoniously fired by Bob Chapek, but the CFO also wanted him gone. The CFO who ultimately caused his ruination with the board and ratted him out to the board that said she didn't have confidence in him anymore. She was also interested in getting rid of Peter Rice. And she's an interesting character, probably to be discussed in another video. She may really have set up Chapek one way or another, but that's for another video. Before calling Iger, Disney's board considered a few internal candidates to replace Chapek, but ultimately decided they were too new to take on the various pressures on the company. CNBC previously reported one of the candidates considered was Dana Walden, said people familiar with the matter who were not authorized to speak publicly on the topic. She's the head of general entertainment content and in charge of creating original entertainment and news programming for Disney's streaming platforms, broadcast, and cable networks. Walden is best known to have a hands-on role with Iger's first memo to employees. Following his reinstatement, he mentioned Walden as top among his lieutenants who would work with him on Disney's new structure, which would put more decision-making back in the hands of our creative teams and rationalize costs. Dana Walden is very well respected. She's accepted by Disney's executives. She's accepted by the board, not necessarily for role of the CEO just yet, but she took over Peter Rice. She knows how to make friends with people. She's very ambitious, and she was pushing Chapek basically to replace Peter Rice, and he did replace her. Disney will likely choose a successor that leads with talent relationship capability, said Eric Schleifer, CEO and chairman of Patriarch Organization and Reputation Management Consultants. The downfall of Chapek is he maimed Hollywood relationships. Chapek wasn't good with any relationships. That's his main problem. He was probably very effective in a lot of roles, but he just was not able to get people to connect with him. One of the notable missteps made by Chapek during his quick turn as CEO was his handling of Scarlett Johansson's pay dispute. Walden took on her role in June after her boss Peter Rice was ousted after clashing with Chapek. Walden came to Disney in 2019 as part of the company's acquisition of 21st Century Fox's assets. $71 billion. Boy, did Iger overspend for that deal, but he was kind of forced into. When she was promoted, Chapek had called Walden a dynamic, collaborative leader and cultural force who in just 3 years has transformed our television business into a content powerhouse. It's a very nice thing to say. At the time, Disney's board had put its support behind Chapek. Still, Walden lacks experience on business decisions and has focused her time on the creative side. Well, maybe she could be a co-CEO, but you kind of need to be able to handle tough business decisions if you're going to be CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. Meanwhile, Rice may be interested in returning to the company in some capacity and has remained in contact with Iger, people close to the matter said. No way Peter Rice comes back other than anything but the CEO, but it would be kind of ridiculous to make him CEO of Disney. Alan Bergman, who's been with Disney for more than 25 years, is another potential candidate that people have said. He's the chairman of Disney's studio content and spearheaded the integration of Iger's acquisitions into Disney overall content pipeline. He also was mentioned in Iger's first memo. In addition, Bergman has rapport with many creatives in Hollywood. See, this kind of connection with creatives in Hollywood, it actually does matter when you want to get things done, when you want people to give you recommendations, when you want people to say nice things about you. Sometimes those things for relationships are incredibly important. Disney relies on those relationships, and he might have a softer hand in dealing with talent and agents than what was seen with Chapek, he certainly would, and the Johansson dispute. Unlike other top executives at Disney, however, Bergman does not have experience in many other divisions and has focused much of his career on studio content. Another Disney insider floated as a possible candidate has been Josh D'Amaro. People familiar with the company have said. D'Amaro is head of Disney's parks, experiences and products. Chapek was head of parks. I don't think they want to do that again. I think that is not realistic whatsoever. Rebecca Campbell, who's currently in charge of Disney's international content and operations, is another candidate that Iger may favor, people familiar with the matter said. The executive, who has also worked in various divisions of the company after starting on the local TV side in 1997, is also well liked. However, she also has experience running the streaming business in Disney Plus's earlier days. She was removed from the position and may not have the hands-on business experience to make the tough decisions facing the company's media business. No, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. So you got to have someone that can clearly handle the business decision. If Campbell or Walden were to ascend to the CEO position, it would be the first time Disney had a woman in the top job. which of course is something they would love to be able to tout and say, but let's be realistic. It's not about your gender. You've got to actually be able to handle the business and the creative decisions and be good with relationships. A dark horse candidate from within the organization would be Sean Bailey, the president of Disney Studios. One observer said, Bailey, who's maintained a relationship with Iger, is well liked by the creative community. Outside possibilities. Kevin Mayer and Tom Staggs were former Disney executives who were also in the running for the job before Iger settled on Chapek in early 2020. I will say I saw several interviews with Kevin Mayer when they were launching Disney Plus, and I was incredibly impressed with the guy. And the execution on the launch of Disney Plus initially was phenomenal. It was really, really terrific. So Kevin Mayer, a lot of respect for the guy. I think he could do it, but I don't know why he didn't even get the opportunity in the first place. Both left the company after being passed over for the CEO position. Many had pegged Mayer in particular as the likely successor. His name has once again floated back to the top of the list. The problem didn't have to happen, Enja Gaming and Media Executive Chairman Tom Rogers said on CNBC recently, kicking off the attributes needed for someone in this role, such as understanding the media business, a streaming track record, and the ability to build up franchise content and being a deal maker. They had that person. It was Kevin Mayer, said Rogers, the former president of NBC Cable. They still have that person. He's the right choice. They don't have Kevin Mayer. He's on doing another project right now. The board made a mistake. I hope they don't make that mistake again. Mayer had been Disney's longtime head of strategy and was involved in deals like the 21st Century Fox acquisition. Before Mayer left, he had one of the most important jobs at the company, developing and launching Disney Plus. Since leaving Disney, he had a short stint as CEO of TikTok. Yeah, he did. And then he ran away when Trump started calling out TikTok. Mayer and Staggs also run the entertainment startup Candle Media, where they flexed their mergers and acquisitions experience with recent deals like Reese Witherspoon's Hello Sunshine and children's content maker Coco Melon. For Mayer or Staggs to return to Disney, Iger would likely have to acquire Candle Media, their company that they've been building up, which is just a couple $2 billion, not a big. Mayer has outstanding obligations to acquired companies and has no interest in leaving his current job, according to people familiar with the matter. It's possible Iger could see Coco Melon as a good intellectual property fit for Disney Plus, although Iger said at a town hall Monday he isn't interested in any mergers or acquisitions for Disney in the near future. Someone outside of the Disney bubble, Mattel's CEO Ynon Kreiz, could be another contender, the Disney Observer noted. Kreiz has sold 2 companies to Disney, Fox Kids Europe, which sold a majority stake to Disney in 2001, and Maker Studios in 2012. Well, my take is Kevin Mayer actually would be the best executive for the role. I don't know what he would do about the content. I just think that he obviously can handle himself. And if you want to see more about him, Google his name and Disney Plus. Watch a couple of YouTube interviews that he's been in. All right, let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Do you think Disney will get a CEO together within the next 12 months so that Iger can kind of work with them for 12 months before he leaves? Or do you think it's going to still take them years to figure out what the heck they're going to do as more and more of their brands like Star Wars and Marvel continue to kind of have problems and blow up as they ignore what fans want? Please be sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up when you like it, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.